The announcement of Hollow Knight Silksong's release date of September 4th, 2025 was amazing celebratory news for Silksong fans who'd been waiting for such news for over 6 years. But it was a far less celebratory day for the developers of around 10 other video games with existing marketing plans to launch right around that same time. In the ensuing weeks, the list of games that moved their release dates to make way for Silksong grew as developers reconfigured marketing plans and found new dates. As of this video going live, that list includes Demon's School, Eternalucis, Little Witch in the Woods, Clover Pit, Megabonk, Baby Steps, Feyland, Starbirds, and Moros Protocol. Even Stomp and the Sword of Miracles, an indie game with no release date plans anywhere in sight, elected to delay its Kickstarter launch and demo release due to Silksong. But is it actually the right decision? Both Grand Theft Auto 6 and Silksong have prompted plenty of discussion this year about what devs can and should do when their game suddenly shares a release date with a juggernaut. So we asked experts about the thought process behind release dates and what they think the right choice is when GTA 6, Silksong, or another marketing monster drops into your launch window unexpectedly. Just deciding on a video game's release date in the first place can be one heck of a puzzle. The game has to be ready, for starters. It has to be able to make it through the complex platform certification process. You have to make sure, if you're a publisher with multiple games, that none of those games are stepping on one another's toes. You want to avoid seasonal sales on storefronts like Steam because you won't get visibility during that time. You want to speak with platform partners to ensure the time makes sense for them, and you have to deal with all sorts of other factors. Maybe a developer is going on vacation a week you want to release and need them to be there for bug fixes. Maybe someone on the team is getting married. Maybe the developer just really likes Tuesdays. So with all that work going into just finding a date in the first place, moving to an entirely different date sounds like a terrible idea, right? Well, Adam Lieb says it often is. Lieb is the CEO of marketing platform GameSight. A big part of Lieb's job is to work together with developers and publishers to plan marketing around their games, and he's worked on over 1,000 different games in the last 5 years, largely on PC and console. Lieb, as a part of his job, makes recommendations on when publishers and developers should release their games. And while there are many factors to consider, including competition, Lieb says he doesn't always advise devs to delay if a big game appears in their existing launch window. Why? Simply put, delays are expensive. Lieb explains, the most boring business reason is that every day your game is ready to launch and you don't launch it, it's costing you money. The game is ready. You could be generating revenue on that game. If it's going to be the difference between game success and failure, of course you should always do it, but when that's not the case, you're just talking about wasting a bunch of costs that you shouldn't be spending to push something like 3 months. Pure cost isn't the only reason Lieb doesn't always advise moving games. A lot of the conventional wisdom for why someone might move a game out of another game's launch window doesn't apply in every case. For instance, is it a good idea to release an indie platformer shortly after Silksong comes out? You'd think it's not, but Lieb proposes something different, saying, if you have an indie platformer, a great time to launch it is probably 2 to 6 weeks after Silksong comes out. You've got more people playing indie platformers during that time. Silksong probably doesn't have 1,000 hours of content. People are going to play it for 20 to 40 hours or something like that, and then they're going to be looking for the next game to play. So if you have a game that's in that same space, you actually do kind of want to be around their launch window, maybe even before. As an example, Lieb mentions the original Splitgate, which he recalls came out right before a big Halo update and benefited from Halo fans excited about the update and wanting to play something like it right away. Lieb also mentioned the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered Shadow Drop and its launch extremely close to Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Both games are RPGs, yet both sold well. Perhaps, Lieb suggests, in part because excitement for one fed directly into interest in the other. Analyzing those close comparisons is another part of Lieb's job. When working with a game, he looks at data to determine what other players index for, so that developers can avoid competition or, alternatively, play off interest. For instance, if GameSight was working on Borderlands 4, hypothetically mind you, Lieb didn't discuss this particular game during the interview at all, he might look at what games players of Borderlands 3 also played around the same time, and then advise Gearbox to steer clear of any sequels or similar releases with Borderlands 4. And sometimes games that index high are not what you'd expect, such as Palworld players indexing highly for Helldivers 2, or are driven more by content creator trends than similar genres or gameplay or anything else. Lieb mentions another example. Lies of P did so much better in the post-Elden Ring world because there was this huge influx of Souls players. People were hungry for more of that type of game, and then that type of game appears, and it was actually great for them. Lieb provides compelling reasons why delaying a game might not always be the best idea, even if GTA 6 is approaching rapidly in your rearview mirror. But Nigel Lowry, co-founder of Devolver Digital, which is publishing Silksong delayed Baby Steps, had a more breezy take on delaying. Lowry says he walked into 2025 fully prepared to delay Baby Steps or whatever else if he needed to. GTA in particular was blinding as he looked at the calendar ahead, at least until it was delayed to 2026. And Silksong wasn't the only indie game of concern either. He was wary of Deltarune and continues to keep an eye on Concerned Apes: The Haunted Chocolatier. But Silksong, he continues, was different. Silksong trended on social media during publisher showcases it wasn't even in. He calls it a cultural moment, saying that the marketing itself was effectively part of the experience of the game. Lowry points out, people do enjoy Death Stranding 2, but people spent probably more time or just as much time engaging with the marketing and promotion of Death Stranding 2 than they did playing Death Stranding 2. And there's that sense of that's part of the experience in a lot of ways. We'd liken it to Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was this cultural moment and everyone watched Game of Thrones for an hour every week or whatever when it was on. But when I look back at my experience, I know my wife and I, we'd get in bed immediately and just speculate about next week. And it sounds silly, but really we spent a lot of time engaged with that series or these games through speculation, hype, promotion. I'm not saying it's just as fun as playing the actual game, but it is part of the experience. And so you have to be mindful of those kinds of things too. When games reach that level, people love talking about it along with actually playing the game. With the prospect of massive games like Silksong or GTA always ready to disrupt a calendar, Lowry says he ensures he's always ready to move a game. So when Silksong's trailer hit, he chatted with the developers of Baby Steps to see how they felt. They looked at how many people watched the Silksong trailer or were even just in the queue ahead of time, waiting for it to start. Lowry added, that many people with a little video that was a minute and a half long, everyone assumed it had to be the release date. That's the only reason it would make that big a stink, and there were like hundreds of thousands of people waiting for it to start. And you're like, that's important. The group came to the conclusion that Baby Steps could move, and so it did. He says he's seen criticism online from those who thinks Baby Steps or other games should not have moved, but Lowry says it's different when it's your game that your livelihood depends on, adding, you can't A/B test reality. Maybe Baby Steps could have been just fine September 8th, but am I willing to risk the team's livelihood and the future of the game they've been worked on for 5 years to see if they both work out? I'm not. And I also want to listen to what they want. What they want is to have their own spotlight, and I couldn't agree more. And for what it's worth, Lieb agrees. He gave many reasons not to delay a game, but he also acknowledged there were many other reasons to delay when GTA 6 or Silksong come a-knocking. And he says the need to be in a media spotlight is one of them. There are only so many hours in the day, he says, and if every content creator is covering Silksong or GTA, your game is out of luck. Lieb explains, the day GTA comes out, all you can do is write stories about GTA because that's what people want to read about. There might be content creators that love your game and wish they could play it on launch day, but sorry dude, can't. Silksong, both Lowry and Lieb agree, is a big deal, and unique in the way that it's captured and consumed a massive portion of the gaming audience. But GTA 6 is on another level, even further beyond that. Lowry notes, there are AAA games, and then there's quadruple A games, and I'd argue that Grand Theft Auto is potentially the quintuple A game. It's just bigger than anything else, both in the scope and the scale of the game, and the kind of cultural impact that it has and the attention it demands. Lieb's take is similar. I would say that GTA for the last year and a half has been a part of almost every conversation around launch dates I've heard. Lieb adds that Grand Theft Auto 6 is so massive that it's impacting release date conversations even in genres far outside of what you'd normally consider GTA competition. He notes, what's funny with GTA is, because we do a lot of genre analysis comparisons because of the roleplay servers, there ends up being almost every type of game. Someone's built a horror GTA RP server or whatever, so that competes with Silent Hill somehow. And you obviously take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, but the scope of that game is so large that it ends up competing with stuff that it otherwise wouldn't. Almost every other game, if you're a shooter, you don't care a lot about the other things besides shooters. But GTA has been this little bit of a black cloud that looms kind of over everything, so that, I think, has caused people to be more hesitant with dates. Which is why so many developers and publishers steered clear of fall 2025 when they thought GTA 6 was releasing then. Once it moved, suddenly that period was safe again and it filled up with releases. But we should expect everyone to give May 26, 2026 a wide berth. How wide? Lowry doesn't know exactly just yet, though he says GTA 6's ability to not need months upon months of aggressive marketing is helpful. None of his games are likely to cross streams with any big GTA 6 gameplay trailers or events. It's just the release date that's scary. We ask both of them about a Barbenheimer scenario, or more applicable to video games, a Doom Animal Crossing scenario. Is there some game that could release alongside GTA 6 and succeed by virtue of being incredibly different? Neither of them are confident it could, and Lieb in particular says it's a bad idea to risk it. He explains, the problem is if you're the head of marketing, head of publishing, whoever's trying to make this decision with the larger team, and you've put together a PowerPoint presentation that says our game is launching the same date, everyone's going to be like, you're crazy. It doesn't mean that it's a bad idea, it just means it's super high risk, and it's going to be hard to get everyone to be on board, because if you're wrong, and it does blot out the sun and no one's talking about any other games, no journalists are writing about any other games, no creators are creating content for any other games, and you look back, that is a career-defining bad decision. GTA 6's date is set now, as far as we know, so hopefully Lowery and other developers and publishers won't have to deal with any more surprises on the release date front for quite a while, at least until The Haunted Chocolatier and Hades 2 version 1.0 get dates. But we finish up by asking Lowery what he recommends developers do when a massive game suddenly descends upon them, upending all their carefully laid marketing plans. Lowery notes that there are so many games coming out now, you're almost guaranteed to share a release date with someone, and if it's someone big, he prefers addressing it with both humor and humility. It's cool to know your place in the food chain and embrace it, it's fine. I'm very proud of Devolver, but we know that we're not about to go up against Juggernaut GTA 6 or whatever, so just have fun with it. If you like this video and are still patiently waiting for GTA 6, then why not check out our roundup of 32 awesome games in 2025 that you can play while you're waiting. And for more on Silksong and GTA 6, be sure to stick with IGN.